Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Yay. So I'm Ashley Turner. I'm a yoga teacher and psychotherapist. So excited to be here with the amazing Jacqui, Lalita.
Hi, everyone. We have a few different lives going at the same time, so our eyes might dart back and forth.
We are so excited to be here because obviously we wanted to both offer incredible resources for everyone during this time. And we are here. Jacqui is an incredible herbalist, incredible medicine woman. She actually has an online herbal apprenticeship, which starts on Friday. Is that right?
Yes, with the spring equinox.
With the spring equinox. So I am not a nutrition expert, but Jacqui is. So we are here offering an immune boosting soup, and immune boosting broth. You can talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much. By the way, I just want you all to know we have both been isolating. We've been staying home. We're only hanging with each other.
And we didn't hug, even though we're
definitely
less than 6 feet, but we're still isolated.
But both of us have been in isolation, so we're just getting little sister love right now. But I just wanted to let that be clear. And I want to share with you all, I posted a post about some easy to make soups, and people were asking some questions. I figured if I just demonstrate something that's so simple, you'll be empowered to make this at home. And I know these are such a wild moment that we're in right now, and a lot of people might be feeling scared and powerless, and I just want to empower you that there are things we can do, even just beyond taking vitamin C. There's things we can do on a daily basis to really fortify our warrior shield, our immune system, which every day is contending with outside pathogens. Every day our immune system is kicking virus, bacteria, and so it's just always a good idea to have our immune system on point. And this is a really easy to make broth that you can share with your family. You can take it on the go with you, although now we're not really going anywhere. So it's got
I have to say, it smells so good already. We haven't even made anything, but it just smells so good. The garlic, onions.
Yeah. I've successfully used different variations of medicinal broths to help friends through just the common flu and cold and stuff, and it works really well. And this is it's whole food nutrition, so it's going to work instantly, giving us that fortification. And it's got some of my favorite antivirals, antibacterials. Okay, so we're going to start off right off the bat. We come into our garlic. Why do we start with the garlic first when making a broth? Because the garlic needs to be crushed and left to sit for a little while in order to release the active antiviral, antimicrobial component, which is called allicin. Yeah.
To sit for a little while.
Yeah, so the first thing I do, right, we get out our garlic, and in this particular broth, I'm going to put 3 cloves. Now, it depends how you like it. If you want it really, really, really strong, feel free to add more. If you're sensitive to garlic, you can add less. And so I'm just going to crush it. And if you have a garlic crusher, that's great, but you can also just press down on it with your fork.
Do you like the garlic press?
I do. I'm a big fan of gadgets in general, but I also, from traveling, and you can get by without them. So just crush that garlic.
And it's nice to actually use your hands.
Yeah, clean hands, of course.
Clean hands.
I just made Ashley wash her hands before we got in the kitchen again.
Well, I do wash my hands.
No, she's very clean. Let's establish that. So we've got the garlic. Now it's just going to sit. And as it's sitting, that active component, the allicin, which is our antiviral, antibacterial, it's going to be doing its magic, right? So as that's doing that, then we can get going on the other stuff. So I've already cut up an onion here, and as we know, onions are extremely antiseptic. They've got antiviral, they've got antibacterial properties to them, the high sulfur. By the way, I apologize, this is not a very sattvic soup for all my yogis out there who stay away from garlic and onion, but it is going to boost your immune system, and it is going to taste delicious. And it's also a great base for your other soups. So if you're doing like a butternut squash or a cauliflower, whatever you're doing, you can use this as a blend. All right, so my onion is here. I'm going to turn on the stove. You turn on this one. And so what we can do, you can either use one large onion or you can use a medium one. And the other half of the onion, you can actually leave it sitting beside your bed. And guess what? That onion, just a half onion, will absorb the bacteria and the virus in the air. Did you guys know that? So yeah, so then in the morning,
amazing.
You can get rid of that onion, compost it, and it's got all the... I also, when people have ear infections, I'll sometimes have them slice an onion, warm it up, and you can do an onion
on your ear.
It doesn't smell too good, granted, but yeah, an incredible medicine.
Put half onion on the side of your bed.
Yeah, so if it's a big onion and you're not going to use the whole thing, rather than just stick it back in the fridge, in times like this, you can just keep it out. In any room that you leave the onion, it's going to be absorbing the virus and the bacteria in the air. Don't leave it too long, and obviously don't go and eat it after. So yeah, that's just a little trick about the onion. Okay, so the garlic's still doing its thing. Now we're going to come into the magic roots. We got our turmeric and our ginger. I feel no immunity broth would be complete without these two powerhouses. And so basically, I'm just going to take a little bit, these thumbs, by the way, when you've got your turmeric, it's the thumbs. See how these little thumbs grow from it? These are the most potent parts. This is like concentrated curcumin, particularly in those parts. So again,
Honey, you're so full of like, all these tips.
just little
I love
witchy
it.
things. So, I'm going to leave it all to you. I'll give you a basic, I can write a basic recipe, but it's basically as strong as you want it. Some are very sensitive to the spice. It's funny because with spice, I actually am kind of a wimp, but when it comes to ginger, turmeric, things like this that I just know they're so good for me, I just try to get as much as I can. And so I'm just going to grate it up. You can also, if you're in a rush, you can just slice it. If you don't have a grater, it doesn't have to be grated. You can just slice it up. And that's it. You just kind of grate it up. And sometimes if I'm just making this super quick, I can't see anyone's questions, but I'll answer them all after. Sometimes if I'm in a rush, I'll just get a little bit of it going, and then, what kind of knife are you? Yeah, there we go. And then I'll just quickly, and you can roughly chop, right? Because it's just a broth, so it doesn't have to be perfect and neat. This is just all roughly chopped. And then you just throw that in there. So the onions are getting all nice and caramelized. And the same thing for the ginger. So we know that ginger and turmeric are incredible immunity boosters, as well as being anti-inflammatory. And of course, inflammation is completely interlinked with our immunity. How do you think if we're in a state of chronic inflammation, which so many of us are, how do you think our immune system is going to be faring, you guys? It's going to have a lot of work to do, right? Inflammation means that our organs, right, all of our internal parts are dealing with an inflammatory state. So it's a struggle just for them to be doing their basic functions. So take the inflammation down. It's been said inflammation is the root of all dis-ease. And so we're getting this beautiful compound of antiviral, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory with the turmeric and ginger. And again, I got some shredded, some roughly chopped. It doesn't matter. I just want to demonstrate that this isn't like the gourmet soup that everything has to be perfect. This is like, get this medicine into your body and just enjoy. Okay, so I got that going.
Are there any contraindications for turmeric or ginger?
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure, if you're going to take this as an immunity boost, I think it's great to just take it. Long term with a lot of herbs, Long term, I'm a big believer in cycling herbs just because too much of anything, That being said, I do work with ginger pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Some herbs can lower blood pressure, some herbs can thin your blood, and that's why it is always helpful to work with an herbalist or learn and educate yourself, because I see a lot of things, especially right now, there's so much information being thrown out, and of course we all want to share the information, and a lot of it's great, and a lot of it, some of the recommendations with health stuff, they do have contraindications that people who are sharing may not know about. So yeah, but this broth, I say get this broth in you right now, because we're in some big times and we want our immunity really strong. Okay, so I've got that going on. Then I'm going to add, right here I've already blended up, I don't know if you can see this, I've got two powerhouse, beautiful, delicious herbs, which you can use fresh, and I actually just tried to get them fresh, and the parking lot was a zoo. So I'm using dried ones, and they taste wonderful and they work well. It's dried oregano and dried thyme. And of course, thyme and oregano both being highly antiseptic, highly antiviral, just incredible herbs that you want to have in your little ally repertoire during times like this. And they just make food so flavorful and taste delicious. I personally recommend working with oregano as a fresh herb or in the dried herb state versus taking the oil of oregano unless you're sick. Okay, I think I talked about this the other day in my other Facebook Live, that too much just straight oil of oregano long term that oil is so intense. But working with the fresh or the dried herb itself it's wonderful. So now we can just, I'm going to pour the water in. The onions are nice and caramelized. Again, I can give you guys exact measurements, even though I don't personally use them. I'm very witch style. A pinch of this and a smidgen of that. But yeah, I can give you a baseline to go with, and I'm just really going to toss this stuff in. It's that simple. And just let that simmer. And then I've got, okay, when we put in our oregano and thyme, I'm also going to toss in, bring in the medicinal mushroom family and toss in some dried reishi, beautiful powerhouse. This is one of my strongest allies, you guys. This has always been one of my strongest allies, and particularly now, and I just had my mom get on it, taking it before bed. I can't say enough about reishi. I know chaga is so popular right now. I recommend not going crazy with chaga, one, because it's endangered, and it's just being over-harvested faster than it's reproducing. And, something like reishi is going to really protect our respiratory tract, our lungs. It's also a very antibacterial, antiviral, and it soothes the nervous system. It's considered an adaptogen, so it'll help give us that resiliency to deal with stress. Now, too much of this in the soup is going to make it very bitter. So if you're somebody like me who doesn't mind the bitter taste, go for it. But I want to share this and have it be.
And where would people get reishi?
Yeah, so I'll also link in comments. There's a lot of different. If you have a local apothecary in your town, go for the local apothecary if you can. We have one in Topanga called Wild Love. But I also order a lot of my herbs online through Mountain Rose Herbs. And they have great herbs, and you can buy giant bags. I mean, sometimes I'll buy 1 pound, 5 pound bags, and they're very affordable. And yeah, it was started by Herbalist, so it's good stuff. So I've got the reishi, and I'm also going to throw in a little shiitake, dried shiitake. Another incredible immune kung pao. It's just nice to bring the medicinal mushrooms in. Again, you can use fresh, I know some of the mushrooms, people have been harvesting the chanterelles, whatever you can get, fresh mushrooms, those are great too. Not so much the white button mushrooms, those are not going to have the same immunity kung pao that we're putting in there. So now what I've also done is I've already, and again, you can see how roughly chopped this is. This is a pile of parsley and cilantro, and I like to use equal parts. And it's just, okay, so parsley, you guys know about this magical, very understated, beautiful medicine. Parsley is a blood purifier. It's going to help purify our kidneys. It's going to help keep the toxic stuff moving out of us. And it's also incredibly anti-parasitic. So, a lot of humans, more than who might realize it, are dealing with some level of parasitic colonization inside of their intestinal tract, which creates a chronic state of inflammation in the intestines. So parsley will come in, and you can actually just put parsley in water and make a parsley tea and sip it. It's going to come in and really move stuff out. So, and then the cilantro, of course, being an incredible chelator of heavy metals. So it's really going to help pull those heavy metals out, particularly things like mercury, which we're all being exposed to right now. And these are just beautiful, beautiful medicine herbs. I try to infuse a lot of my food with them. Some of my friends
I have parsley in my garden.
Oh,
that I grow.
exactly. Yeah, and if you're growing stuff, that's even better, of course. So that's just doing its thing. It's just like this beautiful broth, right? And now we've got our garlic. It's been sitting, and it's it's ready to go. So it's up to you. If you're going to strain the broth, you don't have to chop anything too fine. If you want to have it with the chunks and want to add some other veggies, you can also just throw other veggies into this. Oh, I've got some celery. Yeah, I've got some celery here. I chopped up a few stalks of celery, so I'm just going to throw that in. Of course, celery is going to give us those beautiful minerals. Low minerals, mineral deficiency, guess what that's connected to? Low immunity. It's so interwoven, and we really need our minerals right now because a lot of us are very, very deficient in certain minerals. It's rampant. So if you are going to strain it, then you don't have to really chop these too well. If you're going to have it as chunks, I would break down the garlic because unless you're somebody who likes big hunks of garlic in the food. And I'm just going to throw all this in. Now I also throw the garlic in kind of towards the end, and if we were making this not live, if I just had all the time to let it do, I usually throw the garlic in at the very end because I like it to be as raw as possible.
Oh, really?
Same thing for the parsley and cilantro, but for the sake of this all happening live on the spot, I'm just throwing it all in. If you're making it at home, just like put that in at the end. The other thing you can do is then you can get your Vitamix, blender, whatever kind of blending gadget you have, and you can blend the whole thing up.
Wow, that sounds good.
It's great. And then you can add whatever. Sometimes I'll throw in zucchini, broccoli. You blend it all up and it's just this like beautiful, just liquid immunity. That's what this is. So, okay, up to you if you want to add some cayenne. I'm a wimp, but you know, cayenne is an incredible medicine. What is cayenne going to do? It's going to get our circulation going. It's going to bring the blood pumping through our body, keep the toxins moving out. It's going to help build heat. I can only do a little cayenne. So I always say you can always add more, but once you do too much, that's it, you know. So we've got that broth, and then you just let it simmer for a little bit. And I usually like to keep it simmered and covered because I feel like it just holds everything in better. And then once that's ready, you can add some lemon to it if you want. And then what I'll do is I'll add some miso. And I love this white miso. And I use the miso as a way of it's like a medicinal miso broth. Now, there's a lot of talk about soy, right, being bad for us and soy affecting our estrogen levels. So I do want to address that because I'm pretty anti-soy, except for the fermented soy products. Years ago when I went vegan, I was maybe 19 or something, and there wasn't a lot of stuff available. And so I was like, soy chips, soy crackers, soy dogs, not dogs, not little dogs, like soy hot dogs, soy burgers, and I was like a hormonal mess. I was like, why am I such a hormonal mess? My chin was always breaking out, and I realized my body was just eating way too much soy. So I stopped all the soy, and I've now over the years, been in practice and studying nutrition and how it all works. Yes, soy is a phytoestrogen. It's going to really mess with our estrogen. But fermented soy, this is particularly for processed soy. Okay, so processed soy, in my opinion, I'm not a huge fan. If you're vegan and you eat tofu sometimes, whatever, it's fine. Sometimes I do too. Sometimes it's not the end of the world. It's more for people who are eating large amounts of processed soy, or if you're estrogen dominant already. But fermented soy, like miso, especially in not large quantities, it can actually have the opposite effect. It can actually help regulate. So I'm a big fan personally. I eat a lot of miso. I just space it out and I take breaks, and that's good to do. It's good to do in general. So at the end, once the broth has been simmered, you can either have it just as is, right? Just pour it in with the chunks and everything, or you can just strain it through. And then that's when I like to take a spoon of miso and just mix it all in. Maybe a squirt of lemon. And that's basically it, you guys. That's it. How long did that take us? How long have we been on?
15 minutes.
Okay, and I'm yapping away. So do you guys feel like you could do that? It's pretty simple, right?
So good. So I have a question. Would you ever add salt or like Bragg's aminos?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're just like miso does not work for you, cool. Definitely I would go for like sea salt, Himalayan salt, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Bragg's liquid aminos, that's soy too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm a huge proponent of salt. I think the minerals are great right now, and so I admittedly have my broths pretty salty, and those who eat them will testify to that. But yeah, so that's really all you do, and you guys, you sip this for a couple of days. You can add other things to it too, and I just really wish that we all take this opportunity right now to just deepen our self-love and our self-care, and come into that place of like, yeah, I could go for the quick fix bag of chips, but I could also just take literally 15 minutes of my life and do this quick thing and do something that's very loving for myself. And you can store this. It's storage. You can put it in mason jars, store it in the fridge. Like, you can literally do a whole thing of it and then just let it be,
And so in general, like if you're making the soup for a whole family or like 4 or 5 people,
yeah,
you can, the way I usually make soups is just kind of eyeballing it. Like, are there specific proportions?
No, no. I mean, I do honestly change it up every night. Last night I made a quick soup, and it was very. I had a lot of Brussels sprouts, so I was like, oh my god, I've got like Brussels sprouts to the apocalypse. So I put a lot of Brussels in there, and didn't do too much ginger because I was already just so warm from the beach run. But you know what? Just go with your feeling, go with your taste. I mean, you want it to taste good, right? Taste it. See if more thyme wants to be in there. See if the oregano. Feel free to add your own other spices to it. But definitely get these medicinals in you right now. You know, if it feels good, because this is like an immunity shield. It's just going to be that extra layer. And again, it's whole food nourishment. So, you know, I do take supplements. I work with a lot of herbs, and it's very, very powerful. Like sometimes people say, what do I do if I can't afford, you know, especially now I know a lot of people we're all taking some cuts, right, from our work and stuff. And this is like pretty affordable stuff, you guys. Garlic is extremely inexpensive. I bought this ginger at Whole Foods today. It was like $4 a pound, and you don't need a lot of it. You know, fresh herbs are not that expensive, so this isn't something that's like, oh my God, you have to go, like some of the elixirs that I make that I admit, you know, you have to go invest in all your tonic herbs. Like this isn't easy. You can do this. It's within reach, and it's very protective.
It feels so empowering too, you know, that we're actually being proactive and taking action, as well as I think one of the biggest lessons right now during this pandemic and this crisis is for us, first of all, we're immediately getting so much space and time because we're cutting out so many distractions and running around. We're like literally not even leaving our houses, and a lot of work and just all other kinds of commitments have been canceled. So it's a great opportunity to use, like, what are the benefits of this? What are the gifts of this experience? To use this as times when, you know, I don't cook a lot because I don't have. I feel it's my story that I don't have the time to cook a lot, you know. But it's like now I do. And what a great opportunity to learn about, you know, different nutrients and what are some anti-inflammatory, immune boosting, simple recipes and things that we can be proactive and be empowered and really empower our own health.
Yeah. You know what? This is going to help us be stronger and more resilient and more fortified going forward. So for those of you out there who get chronically sick a lot, or colds and strep and flu, getting into a deeper practice of self-care and working with these beautiful herbal remedies can really help with that. So there is a huge opportunity in there. And it's powerful. It's really powerful to make our own food at home. And this is something that's it's such a passion of mine. One whole module of my apprenticeship that's coming up is just on culinary herbalism. And it's just about how we can infuse things like, you know, wild foods and vital superfoods like this, and make our everyday meals more, they're going to nourish us and make us just the warriors that we are right now, that we need to be in these times. So I'm very, very passionate about it. Sometimes I'll, you know, depending on the season and what's available, I'll infuse the soups with whatever's happening. It's like we have spring coming, dandelion, and dandelion is all over the place, you guys. It's everywhere. Dandelion's a weed. People think it's like a nuisance, and it is medicine. Guess what? It's an incredible medicine for the organ that's connected to springtime, which is our liver. And our liver is the first, I feel, it's the first one to take the hit because it's processing everything. It's dealing with all the toxins. Generally, it's pretty bogged down. And so getting the dandelion that's like in your backyard or you see at the park, and of course, like rinsing it off, but getting that dandelion in the soup pot is a great idea too. So, yeah.
And how long would you simmer this for?
It's, you know, I mean, I think it's good to go. Yeah, so I'll usually just not do it too long. I'm not too big. And then it's pretty hot. Let me show you guys. Okay, so do this without tipping it over. Can everybody see that? You also get a good facial steam. It's just beautiful medicine. And then, of course, we haven't added salt because I'm going to use so, but feel free to add that. Cumin is really nice in there as well. Oh, Heather! We love you.
Hi, Heather. So you're saying you could strain that?
Yeah.
Or you could,
Just love
or
it.
you could eat it like that with all the
Totally.
chunks, or you could even blend it all together.
Well, I wouldn't blend it with the reishi
With the
and
mushrooms.
maitake. Yeah, because they're, I don't know, I just wouldn't do that. But
Yeah,
but otherwise, aside from that, you could totally blend
you
it.
could even pick them out and then
Totally, absolutely. And you can put other things in there. Like, remember that whatever veggies we're putting into our soup pots, the minerals of those veggies are getting absorbed in the water. So even if you do nothing else besides put like celery and potatoes and carrots and greens in a soup pot and make that broth, like that's going to be mineral broth. Here's another trick that I love. All this leftover stuff, right? There's always like leftover things when you're cooking, right? Like I have all these tops of celery. There's some onion left over. All that leftover stuff you can put in the freezer and just hold on to it, or put it directly into a soup pot. But you can also collect it when you have enough. Dump it into your soup pot and pour water over it and simmer that, and it's a compost mineral broth. And I learned that from Anne-Marie. Shout out to Anne-Marie. I think I got that trick from one of her roommates. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's like zero waste, It's just, and the minerals are what we need, you guys. We need our minerals. I'll just keep saying it and shouting it to the mountaintop. When your selenium is high, when your iron is good, when your zinc, when your magnesium, when you've got your minerals, believe you me, we are going to have much stronger immune systems than when we're deficient in these things, because these things are just important for so many different everyday immune functions. So everything is so interwoven and connected. For anybody who's wanting to dive in and just make that plunge, and especially now that we're going to be home indefinitely and want to just take advantage of online education, I have a 6-month apprenticeship that's starting. It's all online. It's starting on Friday with the spring equinox. We're actually starting off with a detox cleanse. So that we're starting off, it's a very gentle cleanse. So we'll still be eating, but working to really clear out the channels, clear out the pathways, clear the lymphatic system, replenish the liver, tonify the kidneys, and get everything clear. And then from there, we're going to just dive into the incredible, boundless world of plant medicine and how we can use it to heal ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because I really think right now, we're being called to be the medicine people, you know, and hold that. Just obviously holding it with practices like what Ashley's sharing with mental health, with yoga practices, with our meditation, and then holding it on the physical plane of making sure that on the cellular level, we are solid, we are strong, that everything is in optimal function, and then things don't seem so scary out there.
Yeah.
So
when you're empowered, I feel like that's, it's like the only thing we can do is can control what we can control.
Yes.
But this is a huge piece, a huge fundamental building block of our health that we can control, which is our nutrition and our protection.
Absolutely.
And so, really, that's all. In a certain sense, that's all we can do. It's like the world is gonna, life is gonna do its thing, but at least we know that we're doing everything we can to protect ourselves and our family.
Exactly. And isn't this the opportunity? Because isn't that where we want to be? Don't we want to be in this place of, obviously we don't want to have a virus spreading around, but we do want to be in a place of self-empowerment and knowledge about how to take care of ourselves. I know for me, where I grew up and the lifestyle and everything, I wasn't taught how to take care of myself at all. We just didn't know. And so I didn't take very good care of myself the first 20 years of my life. And guess what? Up until I was a teenager, I was sick I thought it was normal to be sick and have strep throat twice a year. And, I had all sorts of hormonal things. And then once I really discovered herbal medicine and natural healing and nutrition and using food as medicine, it just was such a game changer. And I really have, I just went through this whole thing. For those who've been following my journey, I went through this whole thing of having breast implant illness from implants that I had when I was 18 that I've wanted out for years. And I just kept not feeling like dealing with it, pushing it to the back burner. Who feels like having major surgery and not being able to exercise, right? And finally my body was just like, enough. And I had it was pretty intense, the symptoms. And so I went through the explant surgery, which was amazing. And my bounce back has been so incredible and so fast. And I really credit it to this. So I'm happy to just share this little bit, if nothing else, just to take that little bit of go into your kitchen, befriend your kitchen, befriend your kid. Your kitchen is the hearth of the home. And so make friends with your kitchen, make friends with some of these things that maybe you walk by in the grocery store, maybe you pass them by, and it's like nature's medicine. I went into Whole Foods this early morning, which was already packed at 7 a.m., and the shelves were clear. There was nothing, frozen section, packaged food gone. And I went over to the produce, and this was full, stocked. And
That
this
is amazing.
some of the most
sad,
powerful protective medicine that we have. So yeah,
ginger and turmeric. So if you guys are tuning in late, this is an immunity boosting broth. Go back and watch it from the beginning. It's a super quick recipe.
Yeah.
But really quickly, tell everyone what are the 6 modules of your course? Because you have
Oh my gosh,
a
I think I remember
herbalism apprenticeship coming up. So the first one is a detox.
The first one is all about herbs for detoxification practices, nutrition, liver regeneration, right? So we're working with the energy of springtime, and the equinox is the most powerful time of the year. It's when our cells want to detox. And I don't remember the modules in order because, like the creatress, I created, and then it's all on my site. But the other modules, we're going to be working with therapeutic herbalism. So how to use herbs in a therapeutic way. So let's say that you're dealing with like rheumatoid arthritis or adrenal fatigue or hormonal imbalance, and you're on some medication and you're just like over it and you're just having side effects. We're going to start working with, how can we use plant medicine now to treat common maladies and even some uncommon ones? So we'll be working with how do we become like the investigators and unravel, because when we pull the thread inside of the human ecoscape, we see how interconnected. So we start using herbs in a therapeutic way that we can unravel sometimes really long-standing health challenges and health mysteries. So that's one whole module, and it's really fun because then, for those of you who are parents or maybe taking care of elderly parents and you want to be empowered to care for them in a more natural way, this is the skill set for that. And then one of the modules is all about herbs for consciousness expansion, which they can. And I'm not talking about anything illegal, although I am totally a fan. But, using herbs for heart expansion, using herbs to deepen our meditation practice, which there are incredible herbs that just brewing them, making these infusions, sipping your teas, taking your tinctures before meditation or before sitting down and doing your writing can be profoundly helpful. So this whole module is about also herbs for dream time. How do we work with sacred ancient medicine in the way that people have for thousands of years to amplify our dream time? We're spending, ideally, if we're lucky, we're spending a third of our life sleeping, right? Some of us aren't getting enough sleep, but we can actually use that time, that dream time, to receive messages from the subconscious. And there are beautiful herbal medicines, and so we'll be dieting with these plants, working with these plants in a way, even though it's online and we're all in different places, we're united with these beautiful plant allies. And then another module is all about culinary herbalism, as I mentioned. What are the other modules? Oh my goodness, I can't even remember.
We also have the chocolate making, because that's one of Jacqui's absolute genius zones. She's an incredible chocolate, mistress of chocolate.
I love that. I've
raw chocolate.
Making medicinal raw chocolate for a long time, yeah. So we'll be getting into herbal elixir making, sensual chocolate making. And right now it's like if you're not wanting to just buy a bunch of store chocolate and have that be, if you want to keep it exciting and keep it fresh, great time to learn how can I make like the most divine, sensuous, aphrodisiac even, healing chocolates at home. And it's just so fun to work with that. I wish I could remember the other modules.
It's all right. We're going to put the link below in all the captions. You guys will have the links. And we'll also post, just a quick synopsis of this broth. This is incredible. Yeah. I just want to hug you, but I'm not going to.
Oh my God. We're usually like snuggled up like little snuggle buddy sisters.
Not right now.
We have our immunity broth though, so we're about to sip that, and it's like your warrior shield.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Facebook Yoga for Mental Health. Hello, Facebook.
Thanks for putting up with us darting all over the place. We're trying to just get all of our people.
Definitely leave in the comments other questions you have, other content that you want, because on my pages, I definitely want to bring Jacqui back and help, continue to educate us on the nutrition piece of holistic mental health. So we'll have her come back, but put in the comments what you guys want and certainly any questions that you guys have. And we're going to put the link for your course,
Yes.
which is absolutely a steal. You can see how incredibly knowledgeable she is.
We're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot
Well,
of fun.
you are fun. I mean, she's Aphrodite incarnate, but she's also a very deep medicine woman. So I can't recommend enough this herbal apprenticeship.
Oh, I almost grabbed her. See that? I was like, woo.
It's the Aphrodite in you. Thank you all.
We love you.
Love
Stay
you, love
healthy.
you. Definitely stay healthy. Stay calm. Stay steady.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you.